When you get to a point where you're like, I would rather be full-time studying. This is how bad it gets. They're all monsters. But you get different times. The bullying, the disrespect behind closed doors. But when it was in the forefront, everything seemed fine. Broken people cut other people. They say HR is your friend. They're not. HR is there for the business. HR is there to protect the business. They're not there for you. Many people stay because they're afraid of starting over. You can still thrive in corporate. You can still thrive. People thrive in corporate. There is no way that my father was such a great entrepreneur and none of us has taken that, streak. My time is mine. I get to do the things I love when I want to do them. Welcome to the World Dialogue Podcast. My name is Kgaugale Sokhota, and on today's episode, we're going to continue from the previous episode where we're talking about why I left corporate. And today I'm just going to discuss the 5 top reasons of why I left corporate. Whew. So,
As
Joshua,
always,
how are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to have you here because this is a tough one for me.
Yeah.
An emotional one because, I'm still
Healing
from it. It's going to take time. But I think you're the best person to have this conversation with.
Wow, I'm really honored.
Thank you. So we've got 5 major reasons why I left corporate.
Yeah. Can you tell us what's the first one?
So the first one was toxic leadership and bullying.
Okay.
When we incorporate, it's like high school all over again on the playground. It's a big corporate playground of adults that others are bullying you on the playground. They don't play nicely with you. And so for me, there was a sign. Those were, I've worked in corporate. I've taken you through my corporate career and I've, worked through different managers, different leaders that led me. Others were managers. I've learned from them. However, this was, like I said, the straw that broke the camel's back. So the toxicity. Corporate is toxic. Most environments are. But I think I draw the line at bullying. Yeah. I draw the line at disrespect. Blatant disrespect. I always say when I would, kind of describe it to somebody, I would say, now I understand when women say they're abused. And we don't see it on the outside. And they say, oh, this guy is so nice. He's so nice because he's laughing with everybody and he's, the life of the party. But when the doors close, he's actually abusive. And that's what I experienced, was the bullying, the disrespect behind closed doors. But when it was in the forefront, everything seemed fine. Yeah.
What do you think? A lot of these people that bully each other in corporate, they've went to school, they've studied.
Yeah.
Why is it that they go back to corporate, they go into corporate and they still bully other people?
People have unresolved issues. Remember people at home, they're dealing with their own things. And so instead of leaving it where it is, they then take it out on people. Yeah. And sometimes it's just that who the person is. Sometimes it's just who you are. For you to feel big, you have to diminish other people. You need to bully other people. You need to degrade and undervalue people because maybe there's something inside of you. I think broken people cut other people. And so when a person repeatedly, when somebody makes a mistake, somebody is having a bad day.
Sure.
And somebody snaps or says something that is,
inappropriate.
Yeah, inappropriate. It can be a mistake and it can end there. The person can come back and apologize and say, you know what, Josh, yesterday I was out of line. I know I hurt you. I shouldn't have said that. And that's acknowledging. That is a real adult saying, I know I made a mistake. I know I spoke to you in the wrong manner or was disrespectful. And they acknowledge you. We all make those mistakes where you unintentionally, sometimes intentionally do something. And then you realize, let me slip in there like, oh, that was not nice. And then you go back and you apologize. Or you send an apology email or a WhatsApp. Sometimes people can't tell you, but then they send you a voice note or they send you a WhatsApp and be like, you know what, I'm so sorry, my friend. I was out of line and I know I hurt you. I hope you can forgive me. Now that is self-awareness because that's who we are. But if a person doesn't see what's wrong and they continuously
do it,
and then you're like, Aibo, you're doing it for the second time and for the third time, that means this is who you are. You know, so when it gets to that, you give a person a chance. And I mean, for me, it was a matter of, I caught myself like, wait, is this happening? Is this really happening? Then I thought, okay, this person will come back and apologize. And they didn't. And they continued. And they continued. And they continued. Then I was like, no, it needs to stop somewhere. Because if something, continues, it means this person doesn't see anything wrong with that behavior.
How did you deal with it?
Sure. At first it was hard. I mean, it caught me off guard. It was my first, I've experienced people being nasty, but I wouldn't take it personal. But in this case, it was personal. And I was like, okay, maybe let me consult. They say HR is your friend. They're not. HR is there for the business. HR is there to protect the business. They're not there for you. So I tried to speak to HR, but I think that was my biggest mistake because from there it just went downhill. Yeah.
So they had more leverage.
Not even more leverage, but I think the other person was protected.
Did they have a bigger role?
Yes, of course. They had a bigger role. So they'll be protected. In corporates, what happens is leadership is always protected. You are the problem. You become the problem. But remember, it's not a performance thing. So remember, there is a difference. There's a performer and a non-performer. When you're a performer and you experience bullying, they would rather work you out of the job by making your life even more difficult, by protecting the perpetrator or the bully. Because then they know that you're a high performer, you value yourself, you value your work, and firing you is risky because they can't fire you for non-performance. Instead, what they do is they just make your life miserable because they know that you won't stand for it because of the type of person you are. And that's how non-performers actually leave, usually in corporates. They go where they're valued.
They're valued,
Yeah, because they know their value. They know that what they bring to the table. They understand who they are. They are not unsure about who they are. Yeah. And so when you're no longer served, what you do is you leave. You leave the table and you say, let me go where I am valued. And that's what I did.
What's the second reason?
The second reason of why I left, it was protecting my mental and emotional health. Now, when you are being bullied in the workplace, it affects you. It affects home. It just affects your overall mental health. I've studied, like I said, from 2016. And I've worked and I've gotten promotions. And I kept studying and I was still performing. And when your studies is your refuge, when you would rather be studying, when you get to a point where you're like, I would rather be full-time studying. This is how bad it gets. When you look and you're like, this is not worth it. Because now your mental health is affected. You are now becoming emotionally exhausted because you're dealing with this thing in your mind. You're not sleeping. Every time you need to wake up and it's Sunday. A lot of people have this. On Sunday night, they have that withdrawal of Sunday night where you're like, oh my God, I'm going back to that office. People that knew me, that worked with me, knew how much I loved going to work. I'm that person. I was that exception. I loved going to work on Sunday night. I was on my laptop. I was that person because I loved what I did. And I still love what I do. But it was so sad for somebody to make it unbearable for me to do my job. And the Sundays become dreadful. And I've got a child. I'm raising a child. Now, then I am emotional. I don't want to go to work. Everything feels heavy. You go into that meeting and it's like you're dreading. So my mental health, I became emotionally exhausted, fatigued, and I burned out because of work stress. Because then that relates to, it was not because I was tired as in like from school and work. No, because I've been doing it for the past 10 years. I was tired because emotionally my work was draining me. But I loved studying. So I enjoyed, logging off and doing my research and doing other things. But I was still performing at work. I was still performing because that's who I am. But it was dreadful. And I couldn't keep up. I couldn't, see myself shrinking emotionally and physically because of that, because of the bullying. Yes, that was happening.
Do you think your family by any means saw that you were drained?
My mother.
How did it impact her?
She said, I don't know what is happening, but that's not you. You are this person. When your own mother tells you you're a person I don't recognize. That hit me. She's like, I don't know who this person is. The way you're talking, the way you are, it's not you. That's not my daughter.
How did it make you feel?
I broke down when my mother said that to me. She's like, you need to re-evaluate your life because that's... And my mother's a very soft person. Very soft, very caring. And when she said that to me, one day, I don't know, I was having a conversation with her and she's like, no, you need to stop. That's not you. I don't know who this person is, but I don't recognize you.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why you ended up leaving corporate?
I then had to evaluate. And she pointed out some scenarios for me. And she's like, that's not the behavior of somebody who is, happy. You're snapping at us. You're doing this. What is happening? You've always studied. So we can't say it's studying versus work. No. Because you enjoy studying. I literally enjoy studying. Like, it's like my hobby. When people say they are doing other things, my hobby is studying. I love it.
Yeah.
But then when you're at work, you are this different person. You come home, you bring it home. You bring it home. And then I realized it overflows to my child. And I don't want anything with my child.
Yeah.
And when my mother made me realize that it's overflowing into my personal life, as in with my son and with her, then I knew that was the time.
And this takes us to point number 3.
Yeah.
Which is?
Point number 3 is I wanted ownership, not just employment. So when I was in corporate, there's that sense of ownership that you want, right? They give you, there was a year, 4 years back, I got shares in the business. And for me, that felt like
you're part of the business.
I'm part of something. Yes. And they valued me. They sent me an email to say I'm part of top talent. And they wanted to retain me.
Wow.
And so for me, that was a sense of ownership. But now, when all of this was happening, I then said, is this going to be my life where I'm going to be dealing with toxicity and bad work cultures and different bosses all my life until I'm 60? I'm 40 years old now. Is this going to be my life? Is this all? That's what I asked myself. And in my mind, I said, no, this is not all for my life. There is, and I used to say, there is no way that my father was such a great entrepreneur and none of us has taken that, streak. And I'm going to try it out. And there's no better time than now. And there was a quote that, I read during that time as well that gave me, that also gave me kind of the push. It said maybe it had to happen, right? That's the title. Then it said, because God knew I wouldn't move unless I was forced to. Maybe he saw the parts of me that were too comfortable, too afraid, and too unwilling to let go.
Sure.
Maybe he knew that without the breaking, I would never see the beauty of surrender. The pain felt cruel because that's how it felt in the moment. I felt like nothing. The pain felt cruel. The loss felt unfair. But maybe, just maybe, it was mercy in disguise. Maybe it had to happen, not because God wanted me to suffer, but because he wanted me to grow into who he always knew I could be.
Yeah.
That was the quote that I read one of the days, and I think that for me was also a turning point to say, going in that moment when I was going through it, when I felt like I had hit rock bottom in my career, I read that quote and it said, maybe I had to go through that. Maybe it wasn't all, in bad faith. It was God's way of leading me to where he wants me to go. Because they say, once you hit rock bottom, the only way to go is up.
Yeah.
And that's where I am.
Doesn't that remind you of Abraham in a way?
Yes.
When God told him to leave.
Yeah. His town. His land.
His land.
Yes.
Land of familiarity.
Yes. And go start
a
new place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is where it happened. And I think from there, I've opened my own FSP. I've went and opened a brick business that my father actually left. And now it's growing. I've got the time. And also, of course, now I get to do the Wealth Diet podcast. So yes.
Yeah. Okay, number 4.
Number 4 was my purpose became bigger than my position. So, when somebody was looking at me, I worked for the bank. I was good role, earning big bucks. Everything looked good. But deep down, I knew that I was called for something bigger, something more. Yeah. And for me, when you are employed, you're working from 8 to 5. There's no time for anything else that you can do. Nothing.
Yeah.
Because you're so exhausted by the time you come back, then it's bath time, then cooking, and then you must rest, and then the same thing every day. Whereas now, my time is mine. I get to do the things I love when I want to do them. I'm still a very organized, very ambitious person, but now I'm doing it for myself. And there's more rewards to doing it myself because now I'm actually earning way more than I was
in corporate.
Even though I thought I could never replace that salary and those benefits. 7 months in?
Yeah.
It's so weird because I haven't earned like a salary from anywhere since I left. However, from my own business, I started earning a salary this month. My corporate career also kickstarted this life. It kickstarted this life because all of those things that I learned through corporate, all those skills,
experience,
I was meant to go through that process because now I'm able to make the decision so much easier because I'm so well equipped. I am so well equipped. I'm ready. Now I'm ready because I know how to take care of my finances. I know how to take care of myself. I was able to leave formal employment, and still take care of my financial responsibilities. I can still take care of my financial responsibilities. I had savings. I had emergency savings that I always tell people about. I say, please save for an emergency. Because when I left, I didn't leave because I was strapped for cash or no. I left because I knew that I could sustain myself for the next 2 years, 2 to 3 years. And while I'm doing that, I can build what I want with no pressure. And I did not want to move from one toxic employer to another.
Yeah.
Because it's everywhere.
Yeah.
There's the nice monster. They're all monsters.
Yeah.
But you get different types. And I wasn't willing because I was so broken. I was at a point where I was so broken. I felt that I could not move because somebody would say, oh, but you could have just went to a different department. You could have just went to another job. But I didn't. I was at the point where I was like, no, I don't want to because my purpose was bigger than just having a position and earning another salary and going through the same thing.
Sure.
Just in a different way, dressed in a different suit. So for me, this was bigger. And this is the purpose where I'm in right now.
So having gone through what you went through, how have you used that experience to help other people that find themselves in a similar position as you did when you were in corporate?
So there's maybe let's say 2 reasons I can give you. To say, firstly, I've learned the art of standing up for myself. We talk about bullies. Bullies don't like it when you stand up for yourself.
Sure.
They hate it.
Sure.
Because they think that they're going to be the big bad wolf and just, you're going to crumble there. And then you are like, nope, not here. And they don't like that. So my thing was, I'm going to stand up for myself no matter how it turns out. I'm going to sleep at night knowing I stood up for myself, but also so that I can teach my child. When I say stand up for yourself, I would have done the same because at work, we are being brutalized, we are being bullied, and then we go home and we tell our kids, no, stand up for yourself. And then we're misplacing our advice when we ourselves don't even take responsibility for ourselves, So for me, I always say, if you know you've done the right thing, stand up for yourself. When I mentor, because I'm a mentor, I mentor, I equip my mentee to be ready. I'm not poisoning my mentee to say corporate is a big bad wolf. No, I am giving them the realities of what corporate looks like, how to navigate it better, because corporate is a great place to be if you know your path. I mean, I was having a great time until that happened, but also there was a reason why that happened for me. Is so that I was, I could stop being too comfortable with the salaries and the benefits, and I had a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
However, it's not a bad place to be. No, that's where you learn your skills. That's where you learn to navigate life. But then prepare people. I wasn't prepared. So I now have the opportunity to mentor a young graduate going into the workplace, how to navigate their way into corporate, to make sure that they are not taken advantage of, and to make sure that when the right situation comes and you're put in that position, you know how to handle it better. Okay. Not that if people are bullying you or people are mistreating you, then you quit. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you know how to navigate, you know how to plan, and you know how to make sure that you protect yourself, protect your mental health. You can still thrive in corporate. You can still thrive. People thrive in corporate because they've got good examples, they've got good leadership, but also they are resilient. Yeah. And they are able to navigate through better than others. Others die. There are people that die at work.
While working.
While working. I mean, we've had a case now of a lady that died at work because they were sick and because of leadership toxicity in the workplace. Do we have to die at work because you have to be there, because your manager doesn't understand that you're sick? No, you don't have to die at work. You understand? So there must be those boundaries that you're able to set and navigate into your life, either from a corporate perspective, from an entrepreneurial perspective, all of those things. You navigate and you find what works for you, because what works for you will not work for me. What works for me will not work for you. But That's what I try and teach now, to say, navigate better, be better prepared. Don't go in there blindsided, because then it hits you, and you can't cope. Other people commit suicide. So there's a lot of things that happen that are not spoken about in corporates. They're hidden because good PR is there in companies. But the things that go on in those corporates or in any business, it's brutal. However, what we need to do now is prepare people better, that when they walk into those spaces, they know what to do.
Do you think this channel has become your platform of healing?
Yes, it has. It has. I think when we speak about point number 5.
Yeah, point number 5.
Point number 5 was I refused to normalize unhappiness. That was one of the things. I didn't want to continue thinking it was okay. It was normal. I was unhappy. Oh, that's what everybody does. Oh, we're all just going to work until we die. That wasn't for me. So many people stay because they're afraid of starting over. A lot of us.
True.
Me, myself included. I was afraid. What are people going to think that I left my big job? People are going to,
Yeah.
I was afraid.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to lie and say, oh, I had it all figured out. No, I didn't. And I decided I didn't want to spend my years surviving instead of living.
Sure.
That was for me, the point. And so I decided, let me hit rock bottom and let me start from the bottom. And when this podcast, when I started this podcast or wanted to start the podcast, for me was what people call journaling.
Okay.
So I'm using this platform as a journal for myself. Because I've studied so much, I didn't want to write anymore. I didn't want to sit and write and journal it. So I like to talk. I talk a lot. For people that know me, I talk a lot. And so this is my diary. And how I started to heal was I started talking about what I love. And what I love is financial planning.
Sure.
I love financial planning. Those who know me, those who've worked with me will tell you how passionate I am about financial planning and financial literacy. And so I healed through what I loved because I knew it would come easy. I knew I didn't have to be somebody else and try and fit a mold and try and do it this way. I was like, let's see where this goes. Let's see me speaking about what I love will come to. I didn't think people would actually listen, but now I'm seeing that people are actually listening. And for me, this is the journey I'm still going through, the healing journey. And it's still going to take me some time. And I'm not rushing it because I spoke about in my other videos about having a financial doctor, right? We've got a doctor when we're sick. Then there's a doctor that takes care of your mental health, right? Which I, myself, have that doctor that I still see to help me cope, to help me heal, and to get myself back. Because the most important thing was that for me, leaving corporate was just not an emotional decision that I thought about overnight. It took me months. And it was the result of realizing that my peace, my purpose, and my potential mattered more than the comfort of a monthly salary.
So what would you say to someone that wants to leave corporate but is afraid to take the first step? How can they go about making their first step?
I mean, it's not always rosy out there. It's not rosy either for me. I think under the right circumstances, plan. I mean, I talk always about planning. I had savings. So, and remember, I was not planning for that moment to happen. But over the years, I saved And I didn't know what I was. Yes, I was saving for an emergency, and this became my biggest emergency.
Sure.
And so when the time came, I wasn't, it was not something I planned to say, okay, in the next 2 years I'm going to resign. No. But when I looked at my finances, I said, can I afford to resign?
Yeah.
And yes, I looked at it and I said, okay, let me wait for my bonus. Let me wait for my share payout.
Yeah.
And then, then I'll have enough resources. Because unfortunately, in this economy, you can't just quit, guys.
Yeah, true.
We've got responsibilities.
True.
So this thing of saying, oh, I quit. No, it's financial. It's got financial implications. And so I looked at my finances and I said, can I afford?
To quit.
And also, how long can these, the savings push me for? And I was very honest with myself. I downgraded. I changed a few things around that are uncomfortable, what some people would think is a downgrade. But to me, because I give you guys financial advice about saying, guys, it's okay to downscale, I did that. And for me, that is, I think the best decision. Mentally, I am in the best shape, better than I was last year this time. Financially, I am prospering because I'm a skilled person. I'm very skilled. I mean, I'm a certified financial planner and highly skilled, have so much experience. And so I can make money from my skills. And so plan. Don't make emotional decisions. But if you're at the point where you are really struggling, you're suffering, then find help.
Sure.
Go and see somebody who can help you navigate through this. That's exactly what I did. I didn't just quit. I went to therapy for about 4 or 5 months until I made that decision because I needed somebody to help me navigate through my feelings, and then I went through my finances, and then I made a decision. So it wasn't a overnight thing. It took me time because I loved what I did. I was passionate and I didn't want to be pushed out. But then I realized this is not worth it. Yeah. I hope that those were the reasons why I left corporate. And now I'm thriving.
It says in the Bible, and you will prosper. You trust in the Lord.
Yes.
With all your heart. Lean not to your own understanding.
Oh, yes.
In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will make straight your paths.
Amen.
So, thank you so much, Khao.
Thank you,
I mean,
Josh.
today you're living what God has designed for you.
Yes, and everything in its own time. Everybody has their own path. So, it's not a quick, rich scheme. It's everybody goes through the path, and there's been challenges. I still go through them, but we soldier on because, what else? But thank you, and thanks for everybody for watching this. Josh, thank you for always being here.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, so I will see you guys on the next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.